back to another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. I'm your host, Dano, and it is so amazing to see everybody here. You guys are already blowing it up in the comments. And you guys already beat me to it. So right now, if you're watching, if you already know what's about to happen, I need you to drop a hashtag positivity posse. So I know that you guys are rocking with me for today, so that you're rocking with Valerie, because Valerie is absolutely amazing. We are in for a treat today with her amazing story and all of her golden nuggets. Thank you to David Vardaman as well for putting us into connection with each other. Hashtag positivity posse. That's what I'm talking about. See, that's why I have the best positivity posse in the world. Nobody can even come close. So thank you guys for spending an hour of your time for today, because this is going to be an absolutely amazing episode. Yes, I'm rocking the hat for today. We're trying something new. Let me know if you guys like the hat, and if not, I just won't do it anymore. We have a lot that we have to cover for today. It has been, man, when I saw Valerie's just the bio that she sent me, oh man, this thing was so long and just so chock full of great energy. Actually, as soon as I opened up the email, I just felt like a wave of positivity rush over me. So that's the type of people that we need in our corners as well. So Valerie, before you come onto the show, thank you so much for being here and spending an hour of your time as well. Here we go. David says, amazing guest this evening. Hat is perfect for the summer. That's what I'm talking about. See, that's why I love you guys, man. You guys are always supporting, always absolutely amazing. So, as you guys already know, or maybe this is your first time if you're watching live or if you're watching on the replay, we always have to do two things before we bring the guests onto the show. Here we go. Go Birds. This is actually, I got some big things in store for you guys as well. So this is actually, I actually also have a Fly Eagles Fly bracelet as well. I don't know if you can see that, but we're manifesting. This is my form of manifesting some big things in the works. I can't reveal it just yet, but just be on the lookout. So the first thing that we got to do before we bring Valerie onto the show is to say the affirmations for happiness for today. Because I don't know if you guys saw, but there was like a big, super spectacular moon that happened last night, and it supposedly like cleared a lot of energies and it's supposed to help like a lot of manifestations happen into the real world or to our physical experience. So I think this in combination with that moon, in combination with the meditation, is going to be absolutely amazing. So make sure that you're keeping up with what's going on into the world as well. So let's get started with the affirmations for today, man. Let's go. So you already know we flipped to a random page, and this is meant to, if this helps you, then I hope it helps you, and then I'm happy I was able to help you. All right, let's see. You know what? All right, I'm going to pick this one, number 160. I got it. So it says, my secret to happiness is radical acceptance. When I choose to accept myself fully as I am and embrace my life unconditionally, exactly the way it is, I feel much happier. There is no need to fight, protest, or push against anything. Now I can just be. Radical acceptance helps set me free. So there it is. I really like that one a lot, because there's so many different things in our life that, depending on our perspective, we can, try to play victim about, or we can say that it's everybody else's fault and not mine. And, we kind of lack that self-accountability that we need. So when we understand that, number one, we're not early and we're not late, we're exactly right where we need to be. And then number two, that, these things that happen to us, they happen for us and not to us. You know what I mean? So make sure that you're always looking at it from that positive perspective as well. Just to say, hey, like, let's say, I'm not calling this on myself or anybody, but let's say somebody gets a flat tire, right? You never know the reason or the purpose that you might be getting that flat tire. I mean, there might be the AAA guy, if he comes to help you, that might be a new connection for you or your business, or that flat tire may have saved you from something far worse. Like I said, I'm not claiming that for anybody, but there is that chance that it might have been saving you from something. So always make sure that, just be. If something is supposed to happen to you, then it's supposed to happen for a reason as well. So here it is, number 160, radical acceptance and just be. And now I think this is everybody's favorite segment. That's undisputed. This is everybody's favorite segment for the show, and it is the On the Street interview. So make sure that when you're watching it and you're hearing the questions, please be sure to leave your answers on the screen as well, because I'm interested to hear, I'm interested to hear your guys' answers. And, you might be somebody that's watching might be in the same situation or maybe going through the same thing as you. So just to know that you have that support system and you're not alone by yourself is absolutely wonderful. And it puts your mind a little bit at ease. I'm not going to say it's going to totally eradicate it, but it's nice to know that there's somebody else that is going through the same life's journeys as you as well. So Valerie, you better be ready because I'm going to ask you, this is going to be the first question when you come on the show. And that's the only freebie that you're going to get. So without further ado, let's bring on the street interview for this week. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dano, television show host of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. You already know what we're doing for today. We're going around the streets of Philly asking everybody the questions that you need the answers to. Let's get it. What's your name, miss?
My name's Corinne.
So what's something in the past year that you feared and you have overcome?
I think that in terms of feeling alone a lot of the time and losing connections with different people and not knowing how to handle that, I think that the experience of figuring out how to be with myself and knowing how to make myself happy without needing to have other people around and relying on other people for reassurance purposes was definitely something that I've overcome in the past year.
Awesome. And what were some of the strategies that you used in order to overcome it?
I think finding things that I enjoyed that didn't have to do with making other people happy and really starting to recognize things that made me happy. So like right now, I'm outside reading a book and sitting by myself, and that's something that I wouldn't have done had I been thinking only about what other people wanted me to do and how to make other people happy.
What's your name, miss?
Amanda.
Amanda, in the past year, what is something that you had a fear of that you've overcome?
So I just graduated from nursing school in May. I started my last clinical, my leadership clinical, in January. I was so nervous going into it because it's a lot of responsibility put on you all of a sudden. And I felt very out of it, out of practice, and going in was kind of terrifying because all the nurses are there and I feel like I have an expectation that they expect a lot from me. But it's never really the case, and honestly it was really nice because the floor I was on, all the nurses were really nice and accepting. Now I'm going to start working on that floor actually next Monday, the same floor as a nurse. So
congratulations. What were some of the practices or techniques that you did in order to overcome that fear?
I just had to put it in my mind and almost play through the scenario ahead of time. So I just thought of other times I'd been in clinical and just kind of tried to work it through, imagine myself as the nurse and try to put that stress off, but just kind of in my mind seeing myself in the role I think helped get through that a little bit.
What's your name, sir?
Carter.
Carter, can you tell us about something that you feared in the past and how did you overcome that fear?
Oh, that's a great question. I definitely think a big fear of mine in the past has been failure, not achieving what I want to, but letting my family down and kind of others. I don't really know if it's something I've overcame, it's something I still struggle with. I guess for me, it's kind of just become about pursuing what I'm passionate about and what I really think my calling is. And I think once I kind of strayed from, I guess before I was more focused on the finance side of it, making money, making sure. I guess once I kind of started focusing on what I was interested in, I think that's kind of what helped me overcome my fear of failure.
What's your name?
I'm Ella.
What's a fear that you've had in the past year that you've overcome?
So in February, I traveled to Europe by myself, which was absolutely wild, and I had to plan all the flights, accommodations, all that stuff by myself.
What were the strategies and techniques that you did in order to overcome that fear?
Tried to organize everything, start out not just by getting a flight and then figuring everything else out. I tried to make sort of an itinerary and set up a budget, planning everything out before I actually make decisions.
So everybody, that was the segment for the week, and I got to touch on this comment. No, this is not Rutgers University, Camden, even though it is a great campus. That is not it, because I said I'm in the streets of Philly, so why would I be in Camden? I ain't going to front on y'all, you know what I mean? I can't say the name of the college or the university because there is this somebody that gave an answer that said that they have stalkers because she's pretty famous on the internet. So she's like, hey, can you just say not the name of the place? So I can't say it, but it's not Rutgers University. So without further ado, Valerie's been waiting so patiently with the bright smile on her face, always in the back. And here it is. She was a risk taker as well. I loved it 100%. Imagine trying to go to another country by yourself. That's absolutely amazing. And you got to have a lot of balls and a lot of courage and confidence to be able to do it. So without further ado, it's time to bring on Valerie. Valerie, what are you doing? Stop helping other people with their books. It's time to get on the show. Valerie,
hello. Hey, how are you?
Absolutely amazing. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I love your energy. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for sharing an hour of your time today to help people understand, that they don't have to be like a product of their environment, and they can overcome any obstacle it is that they want to overcome. And I know you have had a chock full of that in your lifetime as well. And just the story of resiliency and just always pushing forward really inspired me. Like I said, when we were talking on the phone and, everything leading up to this moment right now. So Valerie, I already gave you one freebie. So here it is. Can you tell us about something, it may be in the past year, that, you were afraid of and you had a fear of? How did you overcome it? And what was the fear?
Well, the fear was something I had thought about for a while, for actually years, and it was leaving my job. Actually a company I helped start 15 years ago, and I had been a part of two companies with one director for 21 years. So walking away from that at the end of 2021 was my big leap.
Yeah, a leap of faith, just to say the least. I mean, 21 years old. Not 21 years old. 21 years.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, that too. You see, that's the subconsciously. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, but so can you tell us, like, maybe if you had like a limited perspective or some ideas or beliefs, can you tell us what you were going through while you were making that decision?
Well, the thing is, I had got to a place where there really wasn't anything else for me to do. I was actually encouraging my director to retire. He was 75. And so I just knew that this was going to be the perfect time. Whether he left or not, I knew I needed to make that leap. And I just knew that there was so much more inside of me, so many other things I wanted to do. And just a little background, we were working in juvenile justice. So lots of stories, lots of sad stories. But the key in all of that were the stories that weren't being told. And so because I've been a storyteller, I've been a writer all life, that was actually that key for me making that leap, that I knew I already had inside of me what I needed to do. I just had to make that move.
Awesome. And, I'm just glad, I can tell from right now, I'm glad that you made that move, because a lot of people will, instead of focusing, like you said, on all of the talents and beliefs that you have within yourself, they start to think about the things that can kind of go wrong. I don't know if you know, but I'm not sure if I told you, but I just recently closed a 7-year chapter in my life as well regarding my job. And I just said, hey, listen, I got to make more space for the blessings and everything to flow in. And here's a comment as well. They've just gone through the same thing. Almost 21 years and just resigned. So see, I told you, when you're part of the positivity
21.
Yeah, there's people that experience the same things all over the world. So Valerie, I know that you have a business right now. Can you tell us a little bit about your business and what it is that you do?
All right. Well, I am known as the Book Coach Accelerator. I help accelerate the process of you finally getting that story out of your head, out of your heart, and onto the printed page. And since actually I started doing the business before I quit the job. So there's a key for your listeners out there. Start doing the thing you want to do before you make that leap. So to make sure that other people also can confirm that this is a good thing you're doing. And so since 2019, I have published 30 books as of today. All right. 30 people who've never written a book ever. And I have helped them publish books from literally idea in their head. Like, I don't know what to do with this. Can I write a book? I don't know what to do. So I've been that how person. This is how you do it. So I've been teaching them how. I even have an online course, okay, that about 45 people have gone through since 2021. So COVID has been good to me.
That's what I'm talking
A
about.
lot of the work I started in COVID, and so take advantage of the change, the shifts. Don't look at it like, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's like maximize those moments.
100%. And Valerie, out of all of these different things that you could have possibly chosen in the world, why is it that you want to help people bring their stories to the light, or help give them that extra exposure?
Well, I think part of it is that there's so many stories that haven't been told. When I saw the movie Hidden Figures, for instance, it's like, did you know about those women? NASA is literally up the street from my house. So it's like these women were in my area, doing work that was taking people into space. And then one of the clients of mine, her family, they were descendants of Black Wall Street. She had been working on her book for 20 years. But we were able to get together last year and get her book done in 3 months in time for the 100th commemoration of the Tulsa Race Massacre. So, I mean, just the number of stories, particularly for people of color in this country, that have been hidden and untold and even covered up, and sometimes it's really a legacy project too. Many of my clients just want to tell their family stories. Many of us grow up, we don't live near each other anymore. We don't live near all our family members. So we miss the stories. We don't have, grandma or great grandma around to tell, or our parents not even telling us. They're like, so and so. I tell my father all the time, I have no idea who this person is. You've never mentioned them, you know. And I'm 21 now. And I'm like, I've never heard about this person. And so being able to at least get the legacy down of your family's history for the next generation so that they can know, what it was like when you were a child. How come you know how to do this? How come everybody in our family are good cooks or good baseball players or whatever it is? Share that legacy with your family.
Yeah, 100%. And there was actually an episode that I did last year with John Q. And that was the first time that, speaking of Black Wall Street, specifically, that's the first time I've ever even heard of that. I didn't even know that existed. So I know, Valerie, you have a big connection, or that you really like to study history. And history plays into the future as well, like you said, with leaving a legacy. What are some of the important, like, obviously everybody says, oh, you got to leave your legacy, or you got to study history in order to repeat, to avoid, because they say history repeats itself, and how to avoid the mistakes that we used to make back then. But besides those 2 points, what's so important about, like, leaving a legacy or sharing these stories? Like, I want you to talk about, like, the in-depth details of why you think it's important to share these stories.
Well, I think it's key because it says you were here, that you left an impact, you left an imprint. I mean, the easiest way people leave legacy is through children. they leave kids behind, but what else? What else are you leaving behind? And, I've done a number of things in my life, and, in addition to having kids, but I also started a dance company when I was an undergrad at Georgetown University. And this was back when we were dancing on concrete. Okay. And for any dancers out there, that is not the foundation you want to dance on. That's probably why my knees hurt now. But the thing is, in 2017, after co-founding that company in 1984, okay, so that's 21 plus years. 1984, we started that dance company. It is still in existence. In fact, there is now a performing arts department at Georgetown University. Students can take it as a major, okay? Like, we were a club that we had to fight to get a charter for, and we had to fight to get a charter because the other company wasn't exactly open to everyone on campus. So there's a little history even with that. So sometimes when you're not accepted, when you're not invited to things, start your own, 100%. It's like, if the ceiling's not cracking, if the door's not open, build your own thing,
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like you're the trailblazer, so don't let no be the answer. Find another way.
Yeah,
Water will find a way. Water flows wherever it goes. Be water. Be like water and flow. If that way doesn't go another way. And so I've been fortunate that I've been able to leave a legacy at a major university in this country, with a dance company, where every time I go back and see a show, I get to see like what I started with just another student because we love to dance. Just loving to dance has left a legacy. So, even to your hearers, your viewers out there, it's like, what do you love to do? When I was listening to your word on the street, oh my God, the people talking about travel, one part of it was fear, but the historian in me, it was like, I went to Europe by myself. I was part of a group, but I left on my own, but unlike that young lady, I made sure they took care of all the details. I didn't want to do like, I'm usually doing all the details for everybody else. And so I made sure this company took care of all that. My flight, like I wanted my name, when they hold your name up when you get to the airport.
Yeah.
And this was a 3-country tour. So I did Paris, London, and Rome and spots in between, but had the time of my life. In fact, I'm still in contact with people I met on that trip 7 years ago.
Wow, 7 years. And what's amazing about that is a lot of people don't even have the courage to travel to another state, and let alone you're going to an entire different country where, who knows what language that they speak over there. But I think a big part of that as well is you having the power inside yourself and encouragement to just say, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'm just going to go take a leap of faith. I know that's a big piece that you like to talk about, is finding that power within yourself. Can you talk about like the first times that you started to notice that in yourself, or maybe like how can we tap into that power, or what is even tapping into the power?
Well, that's a great segue because the name of my company is Power to Excel. And I use that Excel in just so many different ways because I think that we forget that we're powerful. We forget that, we learn how to do things, as children without anyone, telling us. We just figure stuff out. But it's usually because of how we're made, and for parents, if you watch your children when they're young to see what they kind of, gear towards, like what's their inclinations are, and you develop those things, they'll do much better than if you force them to do certain things because maybe you wish you had done that, but if you allow your children to go in the direction of how they're bent, then you'll see. It's like, there's a young man in my church. He's actually at Berkeley School of Music. He'll be graduating soon. But I remember when he was born. And when he was about 2, he started watching our musician, who's a world-class jazz pianist. Shout out Kim Jordan. But he would like be mesmerized by her. He is like, in my mind, little Kimmy Jordan now. He's 22 almost, but he can play as well as she's got his own style now. But it's because he was able to develop that gift. So whatever the thing is, like I've been writing since I was a little kid, and I have a good memory. So, and then I can make up stuff too. Like Shonda Rhimes says, I make up stuff for a living. Like I'm ghostwriting a book right now, and my client is like, oh my God, like you said exactly what I wanted to say. Plus you added stuff that you knew nothing about. Just because I made it up. I was like, well, this would make sense if it happened this way. She's like, it did happen that way. So I'm just always excited when I'm working on my books, as you can tell. That's my sweet spot. And it's what I've been doing all my life. So, I did do publications when I was working in a nonprofit. I did do some writing, but it evidently wasn't enough because I needed more. I needed more.
Yeah, and just the fact that you're just so giving. And if you've noticed, I hope you guys have noticed this too. Every time that you've been speaking, it's always about helping everybody else and helping other people really achieve what they want to achieve. And like the show is about you, just to get a glimpse into what you want to talk about, and just to get to know you as a human being a little bit better. But just all the stuff that you've been saying has been to help other people, help other people, help other people. Do you think that that's like your calling, or like what? I just can't. It's just so amazing because you don't really find that many people nowadays. I mean, everybody's just trying to see how they can get, it's been my experience. And there are people out there that want to help. You look at you for an example. But, do you feel like helping other people has been your calling? And how did you find out if that was your calling?
Well, I think the more you help people, the more it helps you. I mean, just because I'm working in my gift, my primary gift is probably writing and editing, and I've been doing that. Like one of the ways I saw that gift was taking someone's resume and fixing it up, because I was like, wow, those words, let me give you some better words. Like, I used to read the dictionary for fun. So I'm a word lover in thick and thin. Okay. And so just making people look better on page, in print or in life, that has always been something that motivated me. And so I also did drama at my church for 20 years, and I would write for my actors. I would either write stuff I knew to stretch them, or I knew that they needed that role to see something happen in their own lives, and I just loved it. But like you're saying, it's like, talking about me, I do end up talking about other people, but I think that that's just how this gift works. It's not for me because I'm really an introvert, believe it or not. But I say I have extrovert gifts, though. The gifts I have are for others, and then, after I give it all out, then I need to chill. I need some Bridgerton or something. I need to read a book.
Now,
And I can jump back out there again. But, that's how I have to refuel.
and I think that's a big point that, a lot of people, and I always say a lot of people because a lot of people do think in the same manner, but, a lot of people always give, and they don't know really how to refill their cup. And, how can you, if your cup is empty, how can you give anything? And it's kind of like the same thing. Like,
Absolutely.
if you want to help people with health, right? But you're always sick all the time, then how are you supposed to help somebody in that way? And I just think that it's absolutely amazing that you're about that way. And David, you can't say the quote of the night just yet because
shout out to David Vardaman for connecting us. Thank you, David.
Oh yeah, he's the man. So we have a comment that says, "Sounds like you're a movie director."
Hey, I'm working on a film. Stay tuned.
Look, here it is. You have your first actress.
You want to be in it? All right, I got you. I have several female parts that you can definitely have one.
There you go. So Valerie, I know that writing is a big part of your life, but you also have huge aspirations in that you were telling me that you want to have your own TED Talk. Can you talk about what will be the focus of your TED Talk? Because we're calling it right now. This is just a glimpse into the future. So
what is the focus of my TED Talk?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's, everything kind of stays in that power to excel. I think, the power to overcome, even surrendering. Some of your other word on the street stuff, surrender, with something, flow, radical acceptance. Sometimes we don't accept how we are. We spend so much time trying to be like someone else, trying to do it like this person. But when we finally surrender to who we are and are okay with that, like I remember telling someone, they were worried about their face and what they look like and all this stuff. I said, look, you get what you get. Okay. Part of that is just DNA, because even if you fix everything, you have a kid, they're going to get what your DNA gave them. They're not going to get what the plastic surgeon gave you, So it's like you get what you get, but how can you maximize those things? Because it's like you have to be comfortable with yourself. So even in a TED Talk, I think you have like 11 to 14 minutes. I haven't perfected what I'm gonna say yet, but it is a goal, and I'm a firm believer in writing it down and making it happen. I'm a believer, so that's a scripture that I hold to. Write the vision, make it plain. And it's like being on a podcast was something I wrote down in for 2022. I need to be on a couple of podcasts, I'm actually hosting StreamYard in a couple of weeks. So, you do it and then you do it for other people and it'll come back to you. So I think really, manifesting what it is you want by actually taking that step. Nothing's going to happen until you move. Yeah, nothing. So until you do something, you're going to be right where you are. So I think it's just key, that, you don't worry about what could happen, as opposed to thinking about what could happen, turn that into positive, we're positive vibes here, right? So it's like, what could happen, to your positivity posse? It's like, oh my God, what could happen if you did that? Turn it into that.
What's the best case scenario? Is one of the questions that I like to do. So Valerie, we're halfway through the episode already. This time has been absolutely fine. So we're just going to play a few quick commercials from our sponsors.
Okay.
And then when you come back, you talked about, keeping your environment clean keeping your environment, in order, because if not, things cannot go right. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. So don't go anywhere. Make sure that you're sharing this content because Valerie is dropping some golden nuggets for you. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. All right, let me pull it up. There we go.
Except I received this insight about a title called Prisoner of War. The book.
Oh, wait. So there we go, everybody. That was just a quick word from our sponsors, and I know we just displayed it on the screen, but I just wanted to get back into the content so quickly that I just forgot that I had to play the bumper. So Valerie, you talked about, making sure that all of your environment is A-okay, and so you can make sure that everything goes, smoother than expected. When you mentioned that, were you talking from experience and like living in kind of like a clutter?
Yeah, that's why I needed that background. I mean, the thing is, I think in America we have a stuff problem, and I am a member of that club, have stuff. I do get rid of stuff. I don't keep it, but learning how to let go, I think, is a big part of just growing in your life, that you can't take everything with you. You can't take everybody with you. And you can't take old ideas and ways of doing things with you either. So those are all a part of the environment that you surround yourself. When I left the job, I don't need all those papers, documents, things to do the business I'm doing now. It's not necessary. It's not going to benefit me. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing, so I had to let go of that, and also there's some people even, and this is all often the hardest one, and not that you just drop people, but understanding the season, the reason, or whether or not that person's going to be in your life forever, and know where you are with people and be okay with that. And you can sense sometimes when things start pulling away. A lot of people saw relationships change in this season we're in now. And it's like, and what did it tell you? Like, learn the lesson. A lot of times we don't want to learn a lesson, so we keep having to go back to that class and repeat. Stop having the exam, pass the class, people.
I know.
But the thing is, with those environments, you get to choose. You get to make the decision as to what you're going to allow in your space. And one space is your mind. What are you allowing in? And that's a big deal I do with my clients. It's like, I say you have to see yourself as a published author. You have to see yourself finishing that book. It's like, what is writer's block? Do you have eater's block? You have going to work block? No, you do those things.
Yeah.
So you got writer's block. You're just procrastinating. You just don't want to do it. You're doing other things. You're eating chips. You're watching Netflix.
So
in the closet.
So let me ask you, why are some people, or what would be some of the reasons that you've experienced that some people are just afraid to let go?
Sentimental reasons, the memory of something. They think, people are afraid to let go of one thing. It's sort of like a trapeze. You have to let go of this part in order to catch the thing that's coming. And the same thing with clutter. If you don't get rid of stuff in your life, in your mind, in your heart, even, you don't make room for the new. I mean, it's like holding on to an old relationship, or it's someone that's passed away, or, your ex or something. If you keep talking about them and telling these stories, or, oh my God, the one that got away, the new one is never going to come, or you're going to run everybody away. It's like, let them go, move forward. You cannot go into the future, with all the stuff hanging on you from the past. It's too heavy, and we're not meant to carry all of that.
No, because what happens when you carry too much of that, you'll start to collapse, and then you won't be able to move anywhere, and you'll start to get stuck in that one spot. And when we were talking before, expectations, you said that if you have expectations in your life, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. What are some, let's say for an author, right? What are some expectations that you've helped people go through, and how can we start to eliminate those expectations that we have in all of our lives?
Well, one big expectation of anyone who wants to write a book often is, I want to be a bestseller. I want to be a New York Times bestseller. So my first question is, how many followers do you have? Because most people who are New York Times bestsellers already have 50,000 to 1 million people following them. So all of those people are already going to buy their book. If you just have your family or your colleagues from work, it's like you may not make it, but it also depends on the topic and the subject matter of your book. Because the thing is it relevant? Is it timely? Is it going to change anybody's life? Is it going to have an impact? So it's a lot of questions you have to think about, like part of the marketing of your book. And before you even write, like, what do you want to do with it? Why are you writing this book? What's the point? So I ask all of those questions because before we even put pen to paper, let's talk it out. Let's figure out, what do you want to do? Because a lot of time people want to just jump right in without a plan. That's like building a house with no blueprint. It's like you got windows where the door needs to be, the floors upside down, all kinds of stuff, and we do our lives like that. We start doing stuff without thinking it out. Write it down. If you write down, these are the steps I need to take, it's like, and the other thing, and as a book coach, I have a coach. Coaches need coaches. Okay. You don't know everything. Like, I didn't know how to do a business. I knew how to do a book, but not the business. So there's a business to what I do. I needed to learn some things before I could launch. So I spent a good 2 years learning how to do some things and getting it. Like, I have assistants. I cannot do all the work myself. I have an assistant. I have layout and cover. Like, I'm very creative. I can design, I can lay out, but that's not the best use of my time. And that's the other part. What's the best use of your gifts and talents so that you maximize impact for other people?
And when it comes to, it sounds like you're a really good delegator. I think with people, we start to kind of we get fearful of letting somebody else into our dream or letting somebody else into our space because it's that same thing. We start to think about what can go wrong. Is this person even really here for me, or do they just want me for my money? All of the bad things that can go wrong. But we need to understand that when we have this positive experience and this positive mindset, everything that happens in our world is a reflection of that positive experience. So you are attracting the people that do need to be there in your life if you're practicing the healthy, positive habits in your life. So if you're always in that negative space, then yes, definitely be wary of the people that you are attracting.
But you're going to get what you expect. If you expect good things will come, and vice versa. If you expect bad things, and you have to put the energy out there too. Like, what are you doing? When you mentioned that I do all these things for others, it's part of what I do. It's like, if what you do does not benefit anyone but you know, it's like, how are you a leader if no one's following you?
Yeah.
It's like, and I tell people in terms of their story, they're like, well, I don't really want to tell you, because I'm like, okay, let's have this first conversation. Tell me about your book. Well, I don't really want to tell you about it. Okay, well, then it's a journal or a diary. It's like, what are you calling me for? Like,
Yeah.
if you can't tell me, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And that's part of the trust issue that people can have. And by all means, you need to trust the people. You need to know, and trust the people that you work with, that you connect with, because that's the basis of the relationship. And once you have that, then also have a mindset of abundance, and not scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have an expectation that there's more than enough out there, that there's more, there's enough for everyone, as opposed to, if I give this up, if I give this information, what am I going to have? As opposed to thinking, if I give this up, I'm going to get more, because I'm going to end up connecting with another person. I'm going to get somebody else in my life. Like people I've met, I wouldn't have met. If I hadn't met David, I had a check in my hand, and I was like, before I make this deposit, David, what are you going to do with me? And we now have a 15-year relationship, from one check, and it's surpassed just banking.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
here with the positivity posse here.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's like, you don't know what's going to happen when you extend yourself, beyond your borders.
Yeah, I love how you go open, you go into everything with an open mind. I mean, you came on the show with an open mind, and when you help your clients, it's an open mind and an easy heart as well. But you always mention that you shouldn't have to ask permission, or you say don't ask permission for anybody. Can you talk about how you have lived that in your own life, of just not asking permission from anybody and just following what you want to do?
Well, I think it started just innocently, where I did a project in a neighborhood I lived in. And I just decided to do, like, I'm from New York, I'm from Harlem, I'm from the Lincoln Projects people. So shout out to New York. But we grew up going to block parties. And for some reason, I had this notion to do a block party. And I just did it. Like, I didn't ask anybody, but what I did ask was for help. I asked the mayor, because actually what I ended up doing before the block party, I said, well, we probably should clean up the block first before we have the party. So I did a big cleanup and got the mayor involved, got the mall to donate stuff. I mean, I just asked people and they did it. And I was like, wow, they just did it, And so just that confidence that if you just step out there, what you need is going to come, And I think that's the biggest part, that until you make a move, like, it's not going to happen. You have to first step out. Like, the faith comes, first with the step. The resources come after that step of faith, because you don't need anything just sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Nobody needs to give you money if you're not going to do anything with it.
Of course. And I think when you have that example of what you should do, and you actually have I'm going to speak this about myself. I remember this was at the height of the pandemic. The whole reason that the show started is because I started doing segments on Instagram, and they were like episodes. They were like 4 minutes long. And the first half would be a positive news story about everything that was going on in the middle of the pandemic, because, everything was so negative. And then the second half was how to live like a happy and rewarding life. So it was when I decided to do that sample size and take that action to follow what I wanted to do, that the show came all about. Because, my coach, Lauren, everybody knows Lauren. If you've been on the show, Lauren Michaels Harris, he came up to me and he said, yo, have you ever thought about having your own show on the network? And I was like, show? All the stuff that I do is pre-recorded. So if I mess up, then, I can just edit that out really quick and nobody can ever see. But it goes back to your point about just actually having that faith within yourself to take the action to help other people understand what it is that you have to offer to this world. So I think I want to backtrack a little bit, Valerie, because last week when we spoke, you talk about, how to, the power to oneself, right? And when you hear about that, what power did you really mean when we were on the phone? And that's actually why I wrote it down, because you talk about power to oneself. Are we talking about like lifting weights power, or what is power to you, and what do you mean by that?
Well, for me, it's more spiritual power.
Mhm.
It's more internal. It's like I hear inside of me. I can hear someone's story when they start telling me. I can hear what they need to do. I can hear like how to expand. I can hear marketing ideas. But I didn't learn that from anywhere, but it's specific to them. When I did drama at my church, I literally would wake up in the middle of the night and write what I was hearing in my head,
Mhm.
or hearing in my spirit. And I recorded this one that was such a hit. Like I played all the voices. I was like, oh my God, I'm schizophrenic now. Like I got all these voices in my head that I'm acting out, recording in the middle of the night, but I couldn't sleep until I got it out. And I think for artists or anyone, like those ideas, those things that you have to do, whether it's big or small. I mean, it doesn't have to be starting a company, it doesn't have to be going to the moon, but it's whatever it is. It could be getting groceries for your neighbor, but if you can't sleep until you get those groceries, get the groceries, because God sees what it is you need to do. He will prompt you. If you don't do it, he'll use someone else. But it's
Yeah.
like the more you do it, the more you will hear more stuff to do.
Now,
Next thing you know, you're doing really big stuff.
do you think that those voices that you were hearing, did you think that that was you coming up with everything, or do you think that was things, flowing through you and through your intuition?
Yeah, definitely flow. I'm not that smart. I mean, I got education, I got the debt to prove it or the paid off, no more loans. But the thing is you have to hone the gift. You once you know what it is you need to do, and I think that's the biggest problem. People don't know what they're supposed to do. They do a
Mhm.
lot of things, and our education system does not allow us to go in the direction. It's like, no, you need to do this because this makes all the money. You need to do this because as opposed to doing the thing that you're designed to do. Like
Mhm.
I've been writing my whole life. It took all this time to get back here. I'm glad I've had moments where, okay, I wrote a lot of plays and skits. I wrote copy. I wrote websites. Now I'm writing books. I'm still writing. That's the thing. Do that. You know.
Of course. And there's a big thing that happened in your life as well. And I hope you'll be transparent enough to share with everybody. But you overcame breast cancer, correct?
Yes.
Now, can you talk about, what lessons did you learn? Well, first and foremost, congratulations. Can
Thank
you talk
you.
about some of the lessons that you learned during that troubling time in your life, and how you implement some of those lessons even till today?
Sure. So shout out to 15 years out. So I am cancer free for quite a while now. So praise the Lord. But life lessons were attitude. Like, and again, I heard, I found the lump. And in that moment where fear was trying to kind of take over, you
Mhm.
know, but I heard it came to pass. So I heard that and I held on to that it didn't come to stay, it came to pass. And so thank you, Jeanette. And so I knew it came to pass. But what that said was that I was going to have to go through
Mhm.
this process. And one of the things, and I shared it with people, was that put your expectations not in specific people. Like
Mhm.
don't be, having a hold on this is how this is supposed to happen,
Mhm.
because you will be disappointed. I had no expectations of who would do what. And so the blessing was all the things that happened for me that I never knew was coming. Like I had a chef, okay? A company sent me a chef to prepare meals for me and my son. Another company, house cleaning. A woman I work with gave me $300 a fare card for people who know how much it costs to ride the metro in DC. So she gave me it because I had to go to radiation 31 days straight. Okay. And I'm a single woman. So it's like, I didn't have anybody coming to get me. I had to figure all that stuff out. Trains, planes, automobiles. I had to get there, to the hospital. And so I think I had a good attitude about things. In fact, I tried to change the name of the place I was having my surgery. It was called nuclear medicine, which I was like, man, that's like you're blowing up stuff. Like, how about intensive medicine or something? Like, still strong, but not scary. And dude was just looking at me like, no. But I was just like, I was trying to keep myself up,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
know it's scary. And, lots of people, it's very fearful. And, my former spouse passed away from it. So it's deadly, but at the same time, when you're going through, and for me, I was going through it. And so I'm on the other side of it, and I can support, encourage, wear pink, do whatever I need to do. But I know that's not all of my life, and that was the other thing. For some people, it becomes a motivating factor for them to do other things. And it did to some degree, but it was just another stop along my, is how I look at it,
I love it.
so don't get focused on it. It's like, okay, you can get through this. 15 years ago, things are different in treatment now. They have wonderful devices that freeze your hair follicles, even. So it's all kinds of wonderful things they're doing now that they didn't have 15 years ago. So your chances are better, your prognosis is better, and early detection is even better. So, get the girls checked on a regular basis. All right. That's my shout out for that.
Well, Valerie, I think a key thing that I noticed, and I'm not sure if anybody else noticed, is that when you were talking to this doctor, and you tried to change the name to intensive medicine, and the guy's looking at you like, no, you didn't, like, you knew what you were doing, and you didn't let anybody else really influence you to say, oh no, you have to think about it this way. And you were a free thinker, and you let that part, your faith lead. I think that is such a huge piece that everybody watching, you should really understand that. So Valerie, we only have a few minutes left on the episode. And we always close out.
Wow, the time has gone so fast.
Fast, right? So we only have, like I said, a few minutes. So the question that we always do to wrap up the segment is this. If somebody's in their deepest, darkest times right now, and they're watching this episode, what pieces of advice would you want to give to this person?
Wow, that's a great question. I would say that life is not going to be easy, but you have within you what you need. You have power to excel. You have power to move forward. You have power to live. Just surrender. Don't try to control everything. Allow life to kind of happen, and see where you fit. A lot of times we try to control how everything is going to, if it doesn't work out, like, I got to live here, I got to do this. It's like, if you kind of start flowing with life, because life has a rhythm. I was a dancer, I did a lot of rhythm stuff. Everything has a rhythm. Learn what your rhythm is. Learn the rhythm of other people around you, and you'll see how much easier life will flow for you.
I love that. And these are great answers. So Valerie, thank you so much for spending an hour of your time today. Like everybody's been saying, this hour flew by. I feel like we're in a time warp speed zone, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So Valerie, if somebody wants to connect with you because they love your story and they want to see what you can possibly help them out with anything that might be going on, where can they reach you at?
All right. So you can go to my Facebook page. So it's Book Coach Accelerator. So it's right there. Or you can go to my website. Also, it's bookcoachaccelerator.com. And we can, take a look at some of the stuff I'm doing. I got testimonials. You can hear about the great work I've done, all the great people, 30 books. Actually, I got 7 in process right now. So that number's bumping up every moment. And so you could be next. All right. So you can be next. Let's tell your story, and get that dream fulfilled. I know you've been saying you want to write a book for years. So let's get that book done.
That's what I'm talking about. And Valerie, as far as you have 7 other clients. If somebody's watching right now and they want to join as well, can you just speak to them and what different, like, exactly key points that they can do that you're going to help them out with?
Well, the thing is, we're going to get your outline done. We're going to get your blueprint done. The thing is, you have a story to tell. We all have a good story. It's like, let me help pull it out of you. Sometimes you think, do I have a good story? Yes. Let me pull it out of you. If you don't, I'll let you know. But it's usually there's another story behind the story you come with. That story you don't want to tell, that story that's a little scary, that's got some parts, those are usually the best stories. So I'm that type of person. I'm a dig and I can hear. We already talked about, I got this sixth sense going on here. So I'm gonna figure it out. Like, you're not telling me something.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I have been able to help people get their books done in as little as 90 days. So you could be next.
So let's get it. Valerie, thank you so much for coming on today. So if you're interested, please hit up Valerie. You already see from the episode that the energy is there, the intelligence is there, and everything is there. So hit up Valerie, man. Stop playing. I just want to say one more thing too before we go. Is that's actually how I guess attracted or met with David. We were in an event down in I believe it was the DC area, Virginia. Yeah, it was the DC area. And there was a networking event, and this was towards the end of the night as we were talking. And he's just looks so drained from talking to everybody and networking. So then he comes up to me and we shake hands. I'm like, yo, so, tell me a little bit about yourself. And like I said, he was drained. So he was just like, I don't really have much to say about myself. And exactly what you said verbatim is what I said to him. I said, everybody has a story to tell. So just come on. So just share it. And then, like you said,
story.
Yeah, it's been the relationship has been there and just been growing. So shout out to you, Valerie. Shout out to David. And
Thank you, Dano. Yes, this has been my absolute pleasure. Thank you again for allowing me to be on your show. I've just loved this time.
Oh yeah. So everybody, come back next week, 6:00 on Thursday. I'll see you next week for another great episode that you can only find this wonderful content here. Like, share, and comment. Do whatever you got to do to spread the word. So thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you next week for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. I hope you guys have a great, absolutely fantastic weekend. I'll see you next week. Peace.
See ya.